Okay, today I'm going to walk you through how to set up your gradebook from PowerSchool. I've had a lot of teachers ask me how to do this at the beginning of the year, beginning of the semester, every year really since I've been in my district. And so I'm going to make a little walkthrough on how to set up the basic stuff. If we go to our school webpage, we probably will find a link to PowerTeacher. We can click on that. I have to accept for our district, and then I will be able to type in my username and password. Now, since I no longer teach classes, I don't have a username and password for PowerTeacher, but a friend of mine has graciously allowed me to use hers and sign in. So in PowerTeacher, we see where we have our new gradebook launcher. If this is the first time running gradebook on this particular computer, you're going to want to run this installer once. So click on the word installer. It'll bring you to this page. Download installer. And then we're going to wait for the 38.6 meg download. And we're still processing. There we go. So once it downloads, you can click on that and it will run. Popped up on my other screen. Install takes a few minutes, and this just sets everything up so that you can do a quick launch from here on out. There we go. So next, finish, and that's it. So from now on, when we come into PowerSchool, we'll just come over here and click the launch button. And when we click the launch button, it downloads our PTG file. We'll click on that. And it should load PowerTeacher Gradebook. Okay. So once we get in here, this is where it's going to get complicated. We're going to click on grade setup, and then we're going to click on the arrow so we can set Q1 to 50 and Q2 to 50 and C1 to 0. The only time you'd want to change C1 is if you're given like a state EOC or something like that. This is under the term weights, standard weights. And so we were done with this, so we'll click save. And then we're going to go back into grade. Close that. Now we can go into quarter one. So we're going to quarter one. And see, this one's already set up. But we're going to do category weights. And so for our classwork, we can set the weight at 25%. Problems, we're going to have 30, terms and questions 15, and tests are going to be 30%. If I've decided I wanted to add another category, I can just click this button down here, and any category I've already created in the past is still going to be here. So if I wanted to add quizzes, I could take this and say okay, and now I have a quiz category. And so I'll have to go back in and change my weights. Let's say I don't want a quiz category. I can always go in and remove it by selecting it and then clicking the remove at the bottom. If I wanted to do total points, it took away my options, right? Because at total points, there are no categories. There are no categories to weight. Everything counts just a certain number of points. So the assignment itself counts the points, or determines the percentage. So we're going to leave it category weights. I don't think I've changed anything, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now this class is set up. I can't copy this. I want to copy Q1 only, and I hit OK. And now I can say, okay, I want Q2 to be the exact same. And I hit next, and then it'll tell me, everything I'm fixing to do. And then I hit finish, which I'm not going to do because I haven't checked. I don't know if she has quarter one and quarter two set up the same. But that way you only have to set up one quarter at a time, and you don't have to redo it all the time. So we'll cancel out of this. You can also, let me close this. If you have the same class first semester and second semester, and it's going to be set up the same, you can also go into semester 1 and copy the entire class, and it should take everything over. Let's see, she's semester 2. No, she doesn't teach the same class, so that doesn't matter. But you can do it that way. What you would do for the next class is the exact same thing we just did. I'm going to go back over here and we'll do personal finance, and then we're already in the screen. So we're in our class and we want to create an assignment. Creating assignments pretty easy. All we have to do is click the plus button right here, add an assignment, and then we give this assignment a name, and then we put it in a category if we've set categories. If we've done total points for our reporting system or our grading system, we can't do that. It won't have categories. It'll just well, actually, I guess you could do categories that way, but it's not going to weight them any differently, so it doesn't matter. So we're going to do a test, so we'll put that in our test category. It automatically generates this abbreviation. It gives each assignment a unique abbreviation. So if I do test, the next time it'll be test-1. Even though I give it the same name, it'll be different. Here's where I can change though. I don't have to have it as a percent. I can do it as points, or I can do it as a letter grade if I want to. I've never used the letter grade option, but I do make a lot of my assignments, or I used to make them points. So if I change it over to points, then if it's out of 100 points, well then it's easy. You know, a 90 is a 90%, as opposed to percentage where we have total of 100% possible. This is, if I use points, I can change the max points to say, if it's just a little, little quiz or something, a little 10-point quiz, it makes it easier on me in my record keeping. But as long as you have a standard way of assigning your grades, you have a lot of flexibility in how you do that. The due date is here. You can set it for whenever date you want. Pops off the screen. Whatever date you want it due, and if you want to include it in the final grade or not. You can always come back later and change this. So if you decide to drop a grade out of the final grade, you can come in and uncheck that box, and the grade's still there for everybody to see. It just doesn't get averaged into the final grade. If you click on the Publish tab, you can publish assignments immediately or on a specific date. So a lot of times, if you give a test and you have, or say a project and you have 3 days in order for that project to be due, you could publish it on a specific date, and that way you can record the grades, but nobody can see those grades until everybody's grades are in. So let's say the project's due on the 26th, and I start having kids turn it in on the 24th. Well, I start grading on the 24th. Then some kids can see their grades, some kids can't because you haven't gotten around to grading it yet. So this is a real nice way to be able to grade as you go, and then all of a sudden, boom, on August 26th, all the grades are going to be in the grade book and everybody can see them at the same time. This also will help if you create some assignments ahead of time. Parents aren't looking at a bunch of blank assignments with no grades in them. So if I know I'm giving a test next Friday, I can go ahead and put it in and change, publish on a date. And that way, when parents go to look at their children's grades, they won't see a whole bunch of blank category, assignments. They'll see the assignments that have been graded, kind of thing. You can add standards, but I've never played around with this, and I don't really know a lot about it. You can also, days before it's due, and that goes back to the due date that you set here. And you can also never. So if you create an assignment, you grade it, you drop it out of the final grade, but you don't want anybody being able to go back and look at it, you can go to never. And that's actually more convenient for you. are better for you, I should say, as opposed to going up and deleting the assignment. This way you have a record that you did it, and you have a record of what the students did in case it ever, you ever need that information, say a parent conference or something, say, look, we dropped this from the final grades, but this is how little Johnny did on this particular assignment, be it good or bad. So immediately is what it defaults to. And once we have everything set up the way we want, we can go in, well, I can't do that, and save. And now we have our test. Now, the colors are coded up here. So all of her tests happen to be red. If we were to do a problem, it would be green. If we were to do classwork, it would be yellow. So you can quickly glance up here at the colors and see which ones are which. Now, if we want to, let's close that. If we want to go in and record some grades, we can actually go in and record some grades. Oops. And if you make a mistake, it will tell you that. So that kid got a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, and so on. Nothing is permanent until you hit the save button. We can also right click on the assignment up at the top, go to quick fill. So let's say you did a participation grade and everybody participated. You can quick fill as 100. You can also go in and say, okay, well, you know what? They didn't participate and they almost did what I asked them to. So you can change all that too. So the quick fill, while you won't use it very often, it is kind of handy to have if you're going to do some sort of, if you show up and are breathing, you're going to get XYZ grade. You can delete the assignments here, and you can copy the assignments here. You can copy the assignment. Copy the assignment is actually a fairly handy thing, to where if you give a daily type grade, copying the assignment can save you a little bit of time in gradebook setup. I'm not going to save anything, so let's cancel that. I'm going to delete this assignment so that I'm not actually messing with people's grades. Would you like to save the changes? No, I would not. And delete assignment. Yes. Okay. So I have deleted the assignment. Everything is back to normal. And that is the basics of how to set up your gradebook. So just make sure you're at the right school if you have multiple schools available to you. And make sure you're in the right semester and or quarter when you're creating your assignments. Over here on the left, you can see how many students are in your class. If they've dropped, they'll show up down here. And that's when guidance drops them. They'll show up down here under dropped. And you can go back and pull their grades. If they drop and they disappear from over here and you don't know what grade to put on their transfer form, they'll be under here under dropped. But that's about it. You can do a lot more stuff with PowerSchool, PowerTeacher Gradebook. One other thing I want to show you is under Tools. You can email students and parents. So you click on that and it pulls up this screen. You can pick the semester and you can pick the class or classes. And then what it'll do is it'll pull up all the parents that have a email listed in PowerSchool, and then all the students on the left, and then all the parents on the right. And it'll tell you that there's no email address listed, or that there's 3 email addresses listed. A lot of times you'll see 2s for the mother and the father. But if there's an email address listed, there'll be a checkbox. So you can just checkbox that, and now you've selected all the parents in this class. If you want to send it to parents and students, you can do that as well. Send me a copy, always a good thing. Put in your subject here, put in your message, thank you for coming to class, these students are awesome, and then send now. What'll happen is it'll send it in batches, and you'll probably end up receiving some emails back saying this email was returned, no email address found, kind of thing, if they were typed into PowerSchool wrong, or if they've changed their email address or something like that. So you'll get some of them back, but this is a good way to mass email parents without having to go and look up each one. And parents that check their email tend to be appreciative of it. So I hope this little tutorial was helpful, and I hope it didn't get too long. As always, find me, give me a call, shoot me an email if you have any questions, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with you or work with you one-on-one or one-on small group and get your gradebook all set up. Have a great semester.